How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? I am Father Acab, black man in the wilderness, Acab devil, whichever one you want to call me. And I am here to spread the good cheer, spread the good gospel. Now, I understand that I've been absent from lives pretty recently, but I am back now. So I want to ask y'all a question. Why do we need police officers? I want to ask you, why do you think we need police officers? I want you, the audience, to explain to me why why would you feel like you need police officers? What is their purpose? First off, you say police officers serve and protect. Okay, cool. So let's take that statement. Do police officers actually serve and protect? Do they? Because when I look at the overall facts, it doesn't appear like police officers serve and protect. It seems like they just rob and extort. Simple evidence, serve and protect. Are they even required to protect you? If that were the case, how come all the cops involved in Uvalde, how come they're not behind prison bars right now? Hmm? Can anyone answer that question for me? Can anyone riddle me that, Batman? Because let me point something out to you. When you get someone like Alex Jones coming on to live streams and coming on to Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, saying things like, hey, what Israel is doing is clearly a war crime. And guess who trains a good bit of our police officers? The IDF. So understand something. The people that we call extremists, even they can see the problems with this. Even they can see it. The same stuff that they're doing over there in Israel, they're going to do right here. I just want you to understand something, right? Because if the police here are copying Israel's tactics because many police officers go over to Israel to train with the IDF, well, let me ask you a question. Do you not think that some of the same stuff that's happening in Israel right now over in Gaza, do you not think they were copied right here? What has the IDF or the Israeli police have really done that our own police officers haven't done right here on American soil? You can't even say, well, the IDF, they throw flashbang grenades. Well, our law enforcement officers have done the exact same thing on no-knock warrants on the wrong house. So, the thing is that everything that you're seeing over in Israel is going to be copied right here. I just want you to understand that. Because it's not so much who you're seeing on the streets, it's who's teaching them all these tactics. Who's teaching them all these tactics? Who's doing that? Who's doing that? That's my question. Who is teaching them all of these tactics? You see, over in Israel, I just want you to understand what's happening in Israel right now. What's happening in Israel is not shocking. It's not unexpected. You want to know why? Because if you were to view the actions of U.S. law enforcement, I just want you to understand they are behaving just like the IDF. Well, the IDF, they've taken out so many people. You know how many people U.S. law enforcement has taken out? Oftentimes the wrong person, oftentimes without a freaking trial. Every person who is not incarcerated, tried by a judge and a jury, is innocent until proven guilty. And yet some of these bootlickers out here, they have the opposite belief. That cops are the judge and the jury. This is not Judge Dredd. This is not Orwell's nightmare yet. But if Blue Lives Matter and people who support police officers, if they have their way, right? If they have their way, it will become that. Blind Teddy, how you doing? I haven't gotten the chance to see the videos yet, but I will check them out. Much love, brother. I will check out your case and see what I can do. But the thing is that I want people to understand that people like Teddy and people like so many others have been victimized by U.S. law enforcement. To the point where I got to ask the question, what is their purpose anymore? What is their purpose? What do they do? What do they do? We can't trust them to go into a freaking school to stop an actual, psycho. We can't trust them to actually protect women who have restraining orders against their estranged husbands from picking up the daughters and taking them out and taking themselves out in a police parking lot. I know that is oddly specific. Let me explain to you the reason why it's so oddly specific. Well, go look up Gonzalez v. Town of Castle Rock. One of the cases that decided that cops don't have a constitutional duty to a constitutional duty to even protect you. I just want you to understand that. You know, police, they don't even have to protect you if you're getting stabbed on the New York subway and you happen to use some of your own martial arts skills to subdue the guy. I'm being oddly specific in that case. I want you to guess why. Because that actually happened. That actually happened. You know, police, they could accidentally shoot you while coming into your home. Have the wrong address. And then when they shoot you, they say, hey, we're being fired upon. Go ask Breonna Taylor. They got the warrant based on false pretenses. Everyone knows that now. But you got these Blue Lives Matter stands, these people who support police officers and law enforcement officers, they will still defend the law enforcement officer even in that scenario, even though we know better now. Right? Even though we know better now. And that is a very interesting state of affairs that we find ourselves in, where we know the plain, clear truth, and yet you have people out there, certain sections of certain parts of America, who will choose to believe otherwise because it makes them feel comfortable. It makes them feel like they can support their police officers who target who target the people who happen to not look like them. Thank you very much, Blind Teddy, for subscribing. Much love, much love, much love. But I want to understand something, right? If police officers aren't required to protect you, and they often don't, and they often show up after the fact, what is their purpose? I mean, the question that I got to ask, right? Thank you very much, Blind Teddy, much love. But the question that I got to ask is, overall, right? If the pro-2A community, if their argument is more crime is stopped with a citizen with a gun, then why do we have so many people in the pro-2A community who supports police officers? Wouldn't that be an antithesis of your argument? Wouldn't that be the opposite of your argument? Wouldn't you be saying that armed citizens can take care of crime much better than the government can? And the government, guess who the cops work for? Guess who their checks come from? Guess who funds them? The federal government and your local government and your tax dollars. They're government. They're government agents like anybody else. So why do you feel like you need them to protect you? If you're pro-2A and your argument for getting rid of gun regulations is that, hey, if you get rid of this, there'll be more armed people and less victims. So if there's more armed people and less victims, why do you need more cops? What is their purpose? Let me ask you a question. Have cops done a better job of preserving your Second Amendment rights or taking them? And before you answer, consider New York, California, Chicago, Philadelphia, and every other place with these gun grabbing laws. If your answer is anything but the cops are gun grabbers, I don't want to hear from you. Because the only people who will grab guns, who are legally authorized to grab your guns, are the cops. And all I know is when I look in California, Chicago, I look at, New York, these people are grabbing guns. And I want you to know so far, I didn't mention a single political party. And yet, for some reason, some bootlicker's going to come in and say, Democrats, Republicans. I didn't mention that one time. I don't care about your silly little politics. You want to know why? Because both sides love cops. That's why. When I look at some of the police corruption in Florida, I see the same corruption in Los Angeles, in Chicago, Philadelphia, New York, which lets me know both sides don't give a good darn about police corruption, police brutality, or police officers who happen to be predators. They don't care. Couldn't care less. So I don't want to hear about your silly little politics. As soon as I hear that, I'm going to ban you. You're not going to say that here. I don't care about politics. You want to know why? Because it doesn't matter which party is in control of which city. The cops are the same. I mean, Washington State is a blue state, right? Seattle is certainly blue. So why can't they get their cops under control then? Riddle me that, Batman. I mean, I'm pretty sure Los Angeles is blue, but the LAPD is known to be brutal to black people. Explain that one to me. I mean, Oregon is a blue state, right? Portland PD. Go look up the history of Portland PD as it concerns black people. Right? Portland PD was under a federal consent decree, which means the federal government thought they were so bad that a federal judge had to step in and says, you know what? I'm going to make an agreement between you and the city and force you to behave and actually follow the Constitution. So I want you to understand something. It don't matter what side you're on. If you red in Texas, you're red in Florida, you blue in Los Angeles, you're blue in Chicago, you're blue in New York. The NYPD is no more brutal than Houston PD in Texas. In fact, I would argue blue states are even worse. I would argue, because when you look at the Oath Keepers list, do you remember that from about 2 years ago? 2 years ago, the Anti-Defamation League put out an Oath Keepers list. Do you know what we found interesting about that Oath Keepers list? There were more Oath Keepers in New York than in Florida. So don't you come in here with your silly little politics. I don't care about politics. You want to know why? I'm going to reiterate the same point that I just said. You want to know why? Because neither side appears to care. See? The same upset people who were protesting about what happened to Walter Scott in North Charleston, South Carolina. Black man was gunned down by a North Charleston police officer. His name is Michael Slager. That happened in 2015. We're in 2024, and I still remember the officer's name because that case affected me personally. I'm from South Carolina. So maybe some people don't care, but damn it, I do. The same officer that I see gunning down Walter Scott, it's the same type of officer, doing that in South Carolina, which is a red state, the same type of officer that I see over in Los Angeles. Same type. Same type. Same type. The same type that I see over in Florida, as they have a Florida man cop problem there, is the same type that I see in Chicago and San Diego. Thank you, Kitty Shay. San Diego. They bad too. They bad too. No wonder Carmen Sandiego, internationally known criminal, comes from freaking San Diego. I mean, look at the freaking cops there, okay? You can't help but be but actually be a criminal when your law enforcement officers are no better. Goodness gracious, man. What is their purpose at this point? Thank you so much, Deeper Love, for all the flowers. Much, much love. I appreciate all the love, right? What is the point of them? When you have women out here who are victims, who are survivors of horrible crimes, some of the worst things you can imagine happening to a woman, they go to law enforcement officers, and they might be just like Rodney Vicknair over in Louisiana. A Louisiana police officer, teenage girl, goes to them, asks for a kit because she was SA'd, right? Right? Calls over a police officer, he violates her too. Don't believe me? Go look at the Washington Post article that was released about 8, maybe 9 days ago. It's titled, "She Called in for an R kit, and the police officer who arrived assaulted her too." Go look it up. It just came out. And it discusses how often police officers violate kids. It's very common. Did you know that they're in the top 5? You got priests, you got coaches, you got teachers, you got scout leaders. Who do you think the 5th one is? School resource officers. School resource officers. In fact, Deeper Love pointed out something. That's actually a term. All you gotta do is type in the following acronym: P as in Paul, S as in Sam, V as in Victor. PSV, driving while female. Go to your Google search bar right now. Type in P as in Paul, S as in Sam, V as in Victor, PSV. That's a whole term. That's one word. Space, driving while female. And what you're going to see is all the articles, all the studies that have been done over the years discussing police officers who violate women when they pull them over, because there's just several reasons why that happens. First of all, you have some officers who are just predators. That's just what it is. Okay? That's a given. Second reason is this belief that every woman wants to do something for you in order to get out of a ticket. So the officer automatically assumes that. Right? Make sure y'all liking the live, tap the stream, share this live on every screen that you have. So oftentimes a law enforcement officer thinks the woman wants it. She was asking for it. In fact, you just had a police officer, Indianapolis police officer, black officer actually. I did a story about that. And this officer allegedly essayed a domestic violence victim. She calls them over for a DV call. All the other officers left. He comes back later. He assaults her. Do you know what his excuse was? He says, "Oh, I keep rubbers around. I keep that kind of stuff around. I keep things that are rubber around because I find that a lot of women come on to police officers, and I felt like she was coming on to me, that she was asking for it." That just happened. Look up IMPD officer arrested. Just Google that term. You'll see the guy with my skin color and the glasses. You'll see it. See, I cover these stories very, very common. So as you can see, I just recalled that story off the top of my head. There's a reason for that. I do this content quite often. It's very disturbing. It bothers me. Sometimes I take a break, and some of y'all don't know why. I'm going to be honest with you. I specialize in officers who commit heinous crimes. Law and order SVU types of crimes. Basically, I am the SVU who watches SVU, if you will. And I find that there's not a lot of people who track officers who do certain things online. They think that they're meeting up with somebody who's under the age of 18, and it turns out it's an undercover officer. Happens quite often. I have a team who does very, very similar work. Most of my team doesn't live anywhere near me, and that's for a reason. It's for their own protection. The point of me making so much content is to draw attention and to also spread the truth so that the people who would stop my team are focused on me. We go after law enforcement officers who commit heinous crimes. And I'm going to tell you, the reason why it seems like I have a scoop on some of these cases, like, you ever watch one of my videos? Just go back and watch some of my videos from the past month. If it seems like I know a lot more about that story than what the actual articles are saying, I probably do. Because I've actually uploaded phone calls of me calling police departments, asking them questions, getting interviews. I don't upload even half of those calls because I actually honor my word. When I talk to even law enforcement officers, I say, hey, I won't share certain things, but I will go after you. I've gotten help for certain people. I've seen brick walls. Most times when I try to investigate these cases, law enforcement officers don't want to tell me about it. They don't want to be honest. They want to hide names. They want to hide badge numbers. They want to hide all that stuff. It's my job to uncover all that stuff. The reason why I do it is because I am from South Carolina. The 2021 Sheriff of the Year is Sheriff Leon Lott in Richland County, South Carolina. He has a history of covering up horrible things that happen to children. And so once I realized that was happening, and it happened to me as a child, a lot of trauma there. If you want to know why I'm so dedicated, why I even bothered to go into corrections to look to become a hero, that's why. Why, when a man or a woman comes to me and says, I've been assaulted by a police officer, the reason why I'd never turn you away, even to my own detriment. Because I know there are law enforcement officers out there who are liars. Sheriff Lott has been taken to federal court numerous times about the same thing. Multiple people have accused him of covering up what's happened to their children. Now I'm a man that's saying it. It's been years. The reason why I go as hard as I did, because in 2019, it happened to high school girls at Spring Valley High School. One of his sheriff's deputies, his name was Jamil Bradley, worked for the Richland County Sheriff's Department as a school resource officer. He essayed several high school girls. One of the parents of the high school girls was a school employee at Richland School District 2 in South Carolina. Sheriff Lott covered it up. He knew about it for almost a decade. It was unveiled in federal court documents. Sheriff Lott has, you don't have to take my word for it. All you gotta do is look up Doe versus Sheriff of Richland County. I just told you the name. Doe versus Sheriff of Richland County. Google that right now. See if it's not a federal court case. And when you Google that, you might also notice some other things about all the settlements. There was an $800,000 settlement, a $900,000 settlement, and a settlement for over $1.2 million. It's a lot of money to pay if you didn't do anything. It's a lot of money to pay if you didn't do anything. The person who assaulted me is a high school principal in South Carolina at Greenville High School. My own brother. So people wonder why I don't trust the government. It was after I served in the military, after I became a law enforcement whistleblower, I realized a lot of the problems that I had was centered around the government. That my grievances was towards the government. It wasn't towards the people. It wasn't towards citizens. It wasn't towards any skin color, any gender. It was towards the government. Government causes most of our problems. Most of them. Not all of them, just most of them. You can't go inside of a grocery store right now and tell me that I'm wrong. You can't try to buy a house right now or pay rent right now and tell me that I'm wrong. Am I wrong? Oh, excuse me. Go cut on your TV right now and go look at our foreign policy and tell me that I'm wrong right now. Tell you what. Go look at our infrastructure right now. Go look at our roads and our bridges and tell me that I'm wrong. Go look at the homeless on the streets right now and tell me that I'm wrong. Go look at Purdue Pharma with the opioid crisis, what the government and George Bush allowed, and tell me that I'm wrong. Most any problem that is caused in this country that is systemic is caused by the government. Period. Now, some people say, is it the government or large concentrations of wealth? I say both. More so the government. You want to know why the government allowed that large concentration of freaking wealth? Because they give certain people favors, like Elon Musk, for example, or Boeing, or Raytheon, Lockheed Martin. That's how they got rich. By convincing the U.S. government to go into proxy wars where they can profit off of it. Most every problem around this planet is caused by the government, by the U.S. government. Telling you. Look at our foreign policy. Look at our cops. Look at the homelessness. Look at the opioid crisis. Look at the fact that when you take your children to school, right? right? You don't know what the heck they're being taught. You don't even know if your children are going to be safe or not. Because if your child goes to a school in freaking Uvalde in Texas, you can't trust a government-funded military gear. You got cops who have military gear. I mean, all the weapons and armor in the world can't even protect kids. Oh, but you can go spend billions over another country to go bomb them. Okay. I see how it works now. I get it now. And the same people who we are giving billions of dollars to do all this said bombing, did you know the IDF is training a lot of our police officers? Go look up right now, go to your Google search bar right now, type in IDF trains U.S. police officers. Go look it up. Look it up. A lot of people don't see. A lot of black folks who just jumped up and says, "Oh, we gotta defend this country and we gotta go and defend that country." Once they go look that up, they're gonna say, "Whew, we gotta really reevaluate our allies." Yikes! Yikes! So my thing is that if the government causes all these problems, why do you trust the government to put race soldiers on your streets, police officers? You don't trust the government in any other capacity. You don't trust them. You make memes off it, but you trust the government to give these people military gear? Our police officers on the streets right now have military gear, and the government decided it was a good idea. If the government decides if something is a good idea, is a good idea, it's probably a bad idea, right? See, that's the kind of response a person who is not a bootlicker would say, right? I don't trust the government, period. So if you gave the military gear, that means you made a bad choice. Because if you're saying that I'm wrong, show me where the U.S. government made a good choice. Turn on your TV and show me the good choices the U.S. government is making right now. Please enlighten me. Unburden me of my emotions. Please. Show me once where the U.S. government in your lifetime made a decision that didn't cause problems in the long run. Show me once. Just once. Even when they're doing good, they do bad. We thought it was a good idea to go fund the Mujahideen, right? Do you know who they are? We thought it was a great idea. Man, they are just freedom fighters. They're fighting against a good cause, man. And what happened? What happened? Oh. Something happened in September, right? The same group that we were giving arms to. In the words of Green Day 75, wake me up when September ends. Okay? Oh, the Contra fighters in Nicaragua. How did that turn out? Oh, the Haitian police officers that we trained with the U.S. military during the Clinton administration, during Operation Uphold Peace. You didn't know about that, did you? Yeah, we actually sent some of our troops, our Marines, our soldiers over to Haiti to help with to actually help with stabilizing the country. Because during that time, Haiti was going through turmoil, was actually going through turmoil even then. We trained their police officers with U.S. military training. And the gangs who took over Haiti, they did it pretty fast, didn't they? Guess what they're using against the people who are trying to bring peace and stability back to the country? U.S. military training. The main guy, who's the main gang leader, Barbecue, guess what he was? A police officer in Haiti. Guess who he was trained by? The U.S. military. Guess who he dresses like? The U.S. military. That little like beige shirt with like the freaking sleeves, with like the actual sleeve camo, right? That's actually a U.S. Army shirt. It's called a combat shirt. I have the same type of shirt. Let me see if I can actually find it. I have one in my closet. I know I have one in my closet. I should have one. If not, I'll check the other closet. No, I gotta show it to you so you can see what I'm talking about. See, this guy's wearing the same thing a U.S. soldier would actually wear. Yeah, here. There we go. Boom, found one. So here's one right here. I'm gonna show it to you. Show you exactly what Bob Q's wearing. And the reason why I wear it, because I was in the Army. Exact same type. The only difference is the sides here have like the little Digitam camo. But the middle side, if you can imagine it being like brown, it's the same shirt. It's a combat shirt. And the reason why the combat shirt is designed like this is so that you can fit body armor over it a little bit easier, and it breathes a little bit easier. The guy was trained by U.S. military. He even dresses like us. We even have the declassified CIA documents about Operation Uphold Democracy with the freaking Clinton administration. We even have that. So we know who trained him, because otherwise, how do you take over a whole dang on country? How do you do that? Think about that for a second. Without nukes, without a major military, without drones, without helicopters, without jets, how do you take over a country? With cops in the military. Think about it for a second. Oh, while you're thinking about it, let me give you something else to munch on. That is the effect of our foreign policy. So I just gave you several examples of our foreign policy. Now you're telling me the same government who decided all that is making great choices with our police officers? Seriously? Seriously. So the same government decided to give military arms to the Contra fighters, right? Military arms to Iran. That was the you know what I'm talking about with Oliver North. The Iran-Contra scandal. We're arming people that we call evil now. Same government takes some of the same gear, gives it to U.S. law enforcement. And now, you think that was a good decision? See, people who support police officers, they are uniquely anti-American. If you support blindly any government office, any government agent, you are anti-American. You don't care about your country. You don't care about your country. You are always supposed to be suspicious whenever military gear is given out to anyone. And it's not controlled specifically by the people, the voting public. It's controlled by one entity. You should always be suspicious of that. But you weren't. You weren't. Right now in New York, they are using robot police dogs. You got people like Alex Jones, who is sounding the alarm on this. And yet you got people on the so-called left, Democrats, who are saying nothing. They're using robot dogs in New York and Los Angeles right now. Go look it up. Look up NYPD robot dog. Go look it up. NYPD robot dog. They recently announced it, and they were going to put robot dogs in the doggone subways. They are unleashing robot dogs on us, and they are not protests in the streets. I want you to understand how far we are removed from our grandparents and our great-grandparents. If our grandparents saw something like that, do you think they would take it? If our great-grandparents saw that, do you think they would take it? No, we're taking it because the government has conditioned you to call for your own oppression. It's just like George Carlin said. It's just like George Carlin said. The government has to convince you that you need something to protect you for problems that the government caused. If groceries weren't so high, if the price of housing was so high, nobody would I mean, you don't see millionaires or billionaires out here robbing people, right? You wouldn't have people out here robbing people. That's a problem the government caused. So now the problem the government caused is now being given a government solution. They are selling you a solution to a problem they caused. I want to say it to you again. Right? They are selling you a solution to a problem they caused. Inflation happened because of the government, not us. Our foreign policy and some of the price increases, like Ukraine, Israel, some of the other things that we have happening all over the world, they raise the prices based on that. That's not on us. That's the government. Most every problem you can point to right now that is systemic in nature, you can point back to either white supremacy or the government, or both. But if the whole white supremacy thing scares you, just say the government. Cool, whatever. I believe it's white supremacy, which has been propped up by the U.S. government for sure. But either way you look at it, supporting their decisions is not pro-freedom. Supporting their decisions, I'll say it for you again, is not pro-freedom. Being pro-freedom is being anti-government and being skeptical of your government no matter the reason. It doesn't matter if I say the reason is white supremacy. If I don't trust the government, then stop crying about me. Who cares what the reason is? Who cares? You say you don't want me to trust the government? Well, I don't. Right? I don't trust them based on me knowing it's a bunch of white supremacists. Okay? Who cares what's the reason why I don't trust them if I don't trust them? See, and that some of the responses that I've seen, right? Some of the responses that I've seen, oh, you can't say that. You lost me there. You can't mention the white supremacy part. Dude. Let me give you a simple analogy. Say you want to get rid of wolves, right? From a particular area. And Sally says, I don't like wolves because wolves are mean. But Susie says, I don't like wolves because they ate my chickens. If they're both agreeing we got to get rid of some wolves, who cares the reason why they're agreeing? See, that's how I know some of you are just undercover white supremacists. Some of you. Not the vast majority, but all the people who are giving these knee-jerk responses like, oh my God, I can't believe you said white supremacist. Who cares what the reason that I don't trust the government? Who cares? Right? If you care, that lets me know a lot about you. Because I'm anti-government unconditionally. And if you're telling me that I have to have the same reason that you have, you're telling me that I have to have a reason that you find legit to distrust the government. And that ain't your damn call to make. That ain't your call to make. You see how I could just break down people and expose them for what they actually are based on their own silly little comments? I don't trust the government. Therefore, I don't trust police officers. I don't trust officials. I don't trust town councilors. I don't trust any of them. So when they choose to fund the police, when they choose to give them extra rights, when they choose to use our tax dollars to pay off police misconduct settlements, when they choose to give the police military gear, they're making bad choices because I believe, first off, the government always makes bad choices. Right? But the moment I say that, right, you have this person pop up. Well, I feel like I've been targeted too. I feel like shut up. I feel like your reasons are not my reasons. And it's very interesting. The same side who usually does this knee-jerk objections, I want you to understand, the same side that will always cry about free speech. If you don't like what someone has to say, just scroll on. Well, you can scroll on. See? But the point of those people always popping up, their purpose is not to make a point. Because I'm seeing it all in the chat here. Their purpose is not to make a point. Their purpose is to derail. Their purpose is to try to convince you that systems aren't what they are. The average person who supports police officers is a bootlicker and probably a racist. And you won't change my mind. Because I've demonstrated in just a very, very short live how useless cops truly are. Based on their behavior and based on our government being useless and trusting them. So the government trusts them, you shouldn't either.